I'm Joe Chili, mornings from 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, the Big Wack. Joining us on the Big Wack's Buffalo on the Rise today is Marie Klosko, who's the owner of Elder Transition Consulting. How are you?
Great. How are you, Joe?
I'm good. So when I first heard the name of your group, I'm thinking, how are you consulting elders? But then when I read more into it, and you and I have talked on a number of occasions, I find out the fact that it's kind of like downsizing or smart sizing thing, an individual's home. Got to give you credit. I would not want to do it. You're working with not just the client sometimes, right? But the entire family. So you're going through this whole thing. What do you think is the some of the most successful things that you've done when you're downsizing, you're getting ready for somebody to move into smaller quarters?
I feel like when we have a good working relationship now with just the client and the family, things seem to go much smoother. And when I say the client and the family, it's really allowing us to be able to do our job in terms of working with the client to help them downsize and pack and unpack, but then allowing the children to really pay attention to their parents, basically, meaning like they're focusing more on their well-being and getting their finances in order and maybe coordinating with the community. So while we're trying to kind of help them with the downsizing process, they can focus more on the matters with the parents. So we're kind of taking the load off the children versus the client sometimes. So it works out well.
So what kind of prep time? I mean, this sounds kind of weird, but I mean, you've got to think there are things, it's not just like what might be in this individual room, in this room. It might be all the things that are in the basement or the things that are packed in the garage, because God knows nobody parks their car in the garage anymore. They've got all the other particulars in there. But so how long before an actual transition should people contact you?
I think at least a year, like 6 months to a year is probably a good amount. And again, it really depends on the amount of belongings the people have in their home. But I would say even a year in advance is probably not a bad thing, because then at least they know that they're starting to think about the process. And they could be doing some downsizing themselves. Some of our clients, their children have helped them with it. Sometimes we help along with the children. It just really depends. But really giving yourself permission to, have that time and luxury to be able to start really going through your belongings. Because when you move from a 2,000 square foot home down to a 750 square foot apartment, you can't take everything. So you really have to be very prescriptive about what you're taking. And I think the more time you give yourself, the better it's going to allow you to make better decisions. And
you can't, someone can't just say, oh, I'm just going to leave my husband behind.
No, you can't do that.
No. Well, one of the things people may not think about, I mean, we're thinking about downsizing, but you also think about the process of moving too. Do you help people with movers?
We do. We actually work with a local mover that we pretty much use them exclusively unless the client's already picked a mover. But we always try to tell our clients, if you know you have a date of a move or a rough date, give the mover a call at least 6 weeks in advance, because even if you don't have an exact date, they will put you on their schedule. So that's usually the first thing I tell our clients, or I ask them, do you have a mover? If they don't have a mover, I recommend the one that we use. If they have one, I always say, please contact them as soon as possible.
Do people ever say to you, in the event, you say, well, you can't take this, you can't take this, you can't take this. Do they ever say to you, where do those things go if I can't take them?
Yes, they do.
Really?
They do. But what we try to do is make sure that anything that is in their house that we can donate, that's given to a good charity, such as like Stitch Buffalo, Journey's End, anything in the house that we can repurpose, we always try to make sure that it gets another home and another life. But there's things in houses that really just might need to go for a donation. A lot of times there's trash in the house, and old electronics and recycling, things that might need to be recycled. We work with local organizations that will come in and kind of take out bigger donations, take out old, electronic recycling, chemical recycling, and properly dispose of them.
What do you think are the hardest moves? Is it when you have siblings maybe that live out of town or out of state?
I would say the hardest moves, that would probably be a true assessment. I mean, I think again, if we can keep the lines of communication open with the family that's out of town, even if there's local family that needs to be communicated, we try to make sure that everybody's involved in the process. And thank God for technology now, because we can FaceTime, we can text, we can send pictures, we can call them, we can do conference calls, whatever we need to make sure the family is very well aware of what we're actually doing in the home, because we are in people's personal space. I just want to make sure that they trust that what we're doing and that they're fully updated on what we're trying to do to help their parents get ready for the move.
And some parents may be, and we only have probably about a minute and a half left, incapacitated in some way. Maybe they have dementia, and this is very stressful and very confusing for them, and you have to deal with that as well, right?
We do. We have clients that we work with that have early onset dementia, and what we've learned working with people with that terrible disease, because it's awful. What we try to do is really focus our energy, like working one-on-one with them, not creating a lot of distraction, putting a list together of things that we're going to focus on each and every day that we work with them, so that we're really giving them one-on-one attention, and that we've got a plan in place to address everything we need to get done prior to their move.
Now, Marie Klosko, you gave us a great description. We really appreciate that. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Elder Transition Consultants by calling 716-440-0933 or go to eldertransitionconsulting.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Elder Transition Consultants, and you can join me weekday morning 7 to 9 a.m. on The Big Way.